After days of focusing on foreign policy, President Trump is now turning his attention to his signature domestic priority.
The one big, beautiful bill to secure our borders, turbocharge our economy, and bring back the American dream.
That massive bill looks to cement many of the president's key campaign promises, extending his 2017 tax cuts, eliminating income taxes on tips and overtime, greenlighting a surge of new money for the military, and billions more to carry out his mass deportation plans and to beef up border security, including finishing the border wall. The president says he's saving Americans money.
We're cutting $1.7 trillion in this bill, and you're not going to feel any of it. And your Medicaid is left alone. It's left the same.
In fact, the bill includes major cuts to Medicaid funding and would impose work requirements for all able-bodied adults without dependents to stay on the program. Independent budget analysts say it could cost more than 10 million Americans their health care coverage. Democrats also say the president's tax cuts mostly benefit the wealthy.
He is preferencing the very wealthy in this bill, and he's trying to hide it by becoming the middle-class hero.
But President Trump argues these policies will lead to an economic boom.
These reforms will protect or create more than 7 million jobs, add 3.1% to economic growth, reduce taxes for the typical American by nearly 15%, and that takes place immediately.
Even as the president pushes for the final bill to be on his desk by the 4th of July. Its path to the president's desk still faces obstacles. The Senate's parliamentarian, think of her as the referee, just disqualified several key provisions in the bill that Republicans were relying on to pay for President Trump's tax cuts. And changes made in the Senate will still have to go through the House, where there are divisions over critical issues. But Republican leaders are still confident they'll get it across the finish line by the end of next week.
Everything is challenging, but they're all speed bumps, and we have contingency plans.
Among those speed bumps, Republicans are fighting over just how deep those Medicaid cuts should be and how quickly to slash Biden-era clean energy investments like tax credits when you buy an electric vehicle or energy-efficient appliances. Despite the president's sales pitch and his claims it's being well received, his words are that it's having tremendous approval. Recent polls, including one from Fox News, show the bill remains deeply unpopular with the majority of Americans who oppose it. Savannah and Craig.
All right, Peter, thank you very much.
Let us get more now from the moderator of Meet the Press, Kristen Welker. Kristen, good morning to you. So the president has decided he's not going to Bedminster this weekend. He's going to stay at home, focus on this bill. The timeline, first of all, Kristen, is that realistic? And what are some of the major sticking points?
Craig, the timeline publicly, Republican lawmakers say, yes, they're still shooting for July 4th, but boy, privately, they acknowledge it might have to slip. There's no doubt about that. Significant that President Trump is going to be here this weekend working the phones. I am told he met one-on-one with the Senate Majority Leader John Thune yesterday and said, I want that bill on my desk by the 4th of July. Medicaid. Craig, one of the biggest sticking points, you just heard Peter reference it. Proponents say they're trying to weed out waste, fraud, and abuse, but opponents say it could hurt rural hospitals. Where does this debate go? Can they get it over the finish line? We'll have to see.
Well, all the Democrats oppose this bill. It passed by just one vote in the House. Now it's in the Senate. So it's really about the president convincing fellow Republicans to support the bill and create a coalition that can get it across the finish line.
Savannah, you're absolutely right. And we've seen this happen in the past, right, where the president inserts himself in the 11th hour, twists some arms and gets the bill over the finish line. And that's what he's looking to do this weekend. We do a lot of tea leaf reading around here. And one of the tea leaves is that there's still no vote scheduled. So it's a sign that as of right now, they just don't have the votes. And I have to tell you, some lawmakers, Senator Tom Tillis of North Carolina, for example, warning this could hurt Republicans in the midterms if it is perceived that the cuts to Medicaid are too deep. This is going to be an all-hands-on-deck effort, though, to get this over the finish line, because this is the president's signature piece of legislation. And again, he is going to be deeply involved in this. But, and here's the big but, if there are big changes to this Senate bill, it's going to go back to the House, and then they're going to have to grapple with that. And that's where you see that July 4th deadline potentially getting pushed. It is going to be marathon weekend here.
Real quickly, though, Kristen, I mean, the July 4th deadline, is there any reason reason it has to be done by July 4th, other than the president said, I'm setting a deadline. I want you guys to get this done.
It's a great point, Savannah. Look, to some extent, this is a self-imposed deadline because you have that July 4th holiday, and so it's symbolic in nature. You do have some key benchmarks, though, looming, including the Trump-era tax cuts, which are set to expire in a matter of time, as well as the debt ceiling, which needs to be raised. Scott Bessent says, the Treasury Secretary, that has to happen by August. So they want to try to get it done beforehand. But all of this adding urgency for them to act.
Lots happening in Washington, as always. Kristen Welker. Kristen, thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, you can catch the Today Show every morning on NBC or take Today when you're on the go. Just follow the Today podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.